Hello, my name is Andy and I am the Village Idiot. I'm armed with a car and a GoPro and an unhealthy amount of time on my hands. I'm using that time to attempt to visit every civil parish in England. You're watching the East Lindsey series. This is the biggest district in Lincolnshire, containing 188 civil parishes. Without further ado, here's today's offering. Welcome back to East Lindsey, everybody. Now, you might remember the last time we were out here in East Lindsey, we saw one end of the Lincolnshire Wolds Railway, or the bit that remains. Obviously, the Lincolnshire Wolds Railway goes for a lot further than the bit of track that's still here. That was at North Thoresby, and here we're at the other end of the line. Here we go. You can see the station over there, and you can see an engine just peeking its head out there from behind this building right here. You'll find this in the parish of Ludborough. The East Lindsey series is sponsored by Gainsborough Cycles, 01427 617 752. For all your cycling needs, this is your one-stop shop, located at 20 Ropery Road, Gainsborough, or online at gainsboroughcycles.com. There's a link in the description. Gainsborough Cycles, ask for Trevor Halstead. Here's my disclaimer for people who may be watching me for the first time. I say things as I would in my native accent and dialect. As a result, I may not pronounce things in the same way as the locals do. Remember, I'm a visitor. It's impossible to know everything. Leave me a comment, spin me a like, and bash that subscribe button. Let's get to today's parish video. Today it's back into East Lindsey as we tackle Ludborough. Just 5 miles north of Louth, Ludborough is in some small way at least related to that town. Its name means fortified place by loud water and was occupied by the Romans, hence the suffix borough. The land in and around the village, though, has been occupied since Neolithic times, and this was confirmed in the 1970s thanks to the discovery of a stone axe, believed to be of the Langdale type. In the Domesday Book, Ludborough was considered to be very large. It must have been a fair old size by 1297 because it was large enough for King Henry III to grant the manor holders at that time the right to hold a market in the village. Ludborough has a fascinating church with a moated manorial complex behind it and a pub which dates back to the late 1700s. In more modern times, Ludborough was associated with the railways and had a station on the line from Grimsby to Boston. That station, built in the 1840s, is still here and it's still operational, albeit these days only as a heritage railway. This is also the parish where a very familiar road terminates, one which made several appearances in the North Lincolnshire series. Oh, and by the way, if you've ever eaten any chips from a chip shop anywhere within a 65-mile radius of here, they might well have originated as potatoes from Ludborough. Let's get walking and discover why. We begin to the east of the main village at the Ludborough end of the Lincolnshire Wolds Railway. This is Ludborough Railway Station, which, when opened in 1848, was originally named Ludborough for Fulstow. It's actually situated about halfway between the two villages. It was constructed by contractor John Waring and Sons of Rotherham, who in fact built the whole stretch between Grimsby and Louth. The architects of the station buildings were Wakeman and Hadfield of Sheffield. Here's the signal box, which once controlled both the crossing gates and access to and from Ludborough's goods yard. Ludborough had the most comprehensive goods facility on the entire line. These were withdrawn in 1964, 3 years after the station closed to passengers. Of course, as we learned in the North Thoresby episode, the line no longer runs to Grimsby, and this section is all that remains today. There are plans, though, to restore more sections of the line in the future. Now, you might remember the last time we saw a heritage railway, we could see some engines. That was at Fimber. Well, here we can get right up close to the engines and right on the platform. I wasn't expecting that gate to be open, actually, next to the signal box, but it was. So obviously you must be allowed down here. So I'm gonna just walk along a little bit, see what we can see engines wise. Obviously we've got the diesel here. I'm sure all you railway enthusiasts will know what type of engines these are. I'm not a railway expert, but it's cool to see these, you know, really close. I don't think I've ever been this close to like an old railway carriage. Obviously I've ridden on trains before, of course I have, but modern ones, only modern ones. I don't think I've ever been on ones like this. Now if you look on this board here, you can see there's some information about the Lincolnshire Wolds Railway, and that there is the steam train that will take you to North Thoresby and back, I would say. There's a few plaques next to this. Let's have a look. So it's won some awards, as we can see. Quite a few. I'd love to ride on this, I'll be honest with you, but of course it's not open today. It's the middle of the week right now, so yeah, definitely a weekend or bank holiday thing, probably, just like the one at Fimber, I would have thought. But isn't this just amazing that this is here in the middle of the Lincolnshire countryside? It's fabulous. Do you know, I'm gonna keep walking. I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna keep going because I can see some other bits and bobs up here in the very far distance. That one's called Debbie. Just gonna keep going. I imagine that's the main engine shed there. I'd have thought. That's probably where the steam train is kept. Some of these carriages here look fairly modern, actually. This one looks fairly recent, doesn't it? It's a first train, that. I can't remember the name of the company. It's the same company that operate First Bus. So all right, I'm going to go as far as the end of the platform. You can see there is a steam train over there, look. Looks a bit worse for wear, to be honest with you. Cool. There you go, that's the Lincolnshire Wolds Railway. And it's fabulous, and I love it. And I imagine a lot of people watching this will be absolutely fawning over this. Come here, ride on the railway, help support it. It's visitors that make an attraction like this what it is. Here's a road we're familiar with by now. This is the A16, which runs from Grimsby to Boston, which then continues to Peterborough. It runs for a total length of 78 miles. Parts of it are newer than others, and this stretch, which bypasses Ludborough village, is one of the newest. At one time, traffic had to go through the village itself, but this, the Ludborough bypass, eliminated the need for that when it was built in 1992. It's a mile long and it cost £1.2 million to build. Just to the south of the village, the A16 has a junction with another familiar road, the A18. Ludborough is located at this road's eastern terminus. Now, as we already know, the A18 forms a vitally important route across North Lincolnshire and into Yorkshire, ending at Doncaster. The fact we've now covered Ludborough means we've now been to every parish through which the A18 runs. We've seen its entire route. And the fact that Station Road is in two bits now means that now you've got this nice little parking area in the main village, which is handy under some trees. And on a hot day like this, well, that's kind of what I need. So the car is being left here in the shade and we are going to walk off into the village. Now, this isn't a very long walk. It's a dead straight walk almost as well, because Ludborough is very linear, apart from the part you saw in the drive-in and the bit I've just done on the A16, A18. So really it's a straight walk and a straight walk back again. Up here there's a church, there's a pub, there's a couple of other landmarks of interest. Don't think this one's going to take us very long, so let's get to it. Station Road is generally very residential. In fact, barring the church at the other end, it is indeed all. This house here, by the way, is the old rectory. Now, one thing I found out pretty quickly is that Ludborough has a lot of trees. Quite a few of its roads are lined with them, and there are plenty in people's gardens too. Here's a house with some good examples of them. Aside from houses, the church and the pub, Ludborough doesn't really have anything else. That's not to say it hasn't in the past though. It once had a church school built in 1863. It also had 2 Methodist chapels on Chapel Lane, one for the Wesleyans that closed in 1934 and one for the Primitives which closed in 1978. A converted farm building on Livesey Road also served as a United Free Chapel back in the 1800s. Now, without a doubt, this was my favourite property here because of its thatched roof. Simply named White House, it's a Grade 2 listed building. You know, a native of West Lindsey, as you all know I am, I'm starting to feel a little bit short-changed because in other areas of Lincolnshire, there's thatched cottages virtually everywhere. We've seen a couple in North East Lincolnshire. We've now seen one here in East Lindsey. There's bound to be more somewhere, isn't there? I don't know. What is it? West Lindsey people, get some thatched roofs on your houses. I like them. Station Road now opens out into the village's centre, based around a crossroads and a gorgeously maintained village green. Overlooking it all, we have Ludborough's pub, the Livesey Arms. This is named after Joseph Livesey, who was once the lord of the manor. The pub's own website dates this building back to 1792. The Livesey has a long history of providing respite for weary travellers. It's recently undergone a major refurbishment, bringing it into the 21st century. This house opposite the pub is a recent addition to Ludborough. It's not that many years ago that this land was occupied by a garage called Ludborough Service Station. Now we've hit the green, and speaking of hitting things, there was a man on it here beating the ground with a spade. That's the noise you can hear in the background of these next few shots. The phone box next, on the edge of the green, is the location of Ludborough's defib machine. No book exchange here, I'm afraid. Well, this one surprised me a little bit because I knew it was going to be a nice village, a nice pretty village, but not as pretty as what it actually is, and in the sunshine it looks absolutely glorious. Let you into a little secret, I wasn't supposed to come this far up Chapel Lane. I was really meant to just sort of stop halfway up it and just turn around and then go back because I know it's a dead end, but I wanted to keep walking because every step I took, it just looked better. It just looked better, and I'm almost at the end. As you can see, there's the end of the road up there, so it's a dead end. We'll turn around now. It's lovely. You're gonna really enjoy the rest of section in this episode, I'm telling you. Despite being bypassed these days, buses still run through the village centre. Here you can pick up the number 51 service, which we've met in these parts before. Time to make an about turn, and here's the entrance to Ludborough Manor. It's an elongated, low brick building dating from Elizabethan or Jacobean times. We can't forget the parish notice board, of course, and handily there's one right outside the manor house. Tick off Ludborough, there's still 184 to go in East Lindsey. Now we come to the church dedicated to St Mary. One thing you notice straight away with this one is how it's built of contrasting materials. The tower, of 15th century origin, is made of ironstone, whilst the nave and chancel are made of medieval chalkstone. The south aisle has been refaced in modern cement render too, presumably to protect against crumbling. Among its features, St Mary's has some 14th century stained glass and an organ dating from 1907. Okay, and it's just a case of walking back to where we started at the end of Station Road, to the shady parking spot that I found. And that has been one of the best villages I've ever covered, I have to admit. It is beautiful. It's ridiculously beautiful. I'd live here without a shadow of a doubt. It's probably why that guy with the spade, or whatever it was, I think he was hammering down some tyre tracks on the green. I'm not surprised, quite frankly. You know, don't want anything like that spoiling a village like this, do you? So yeah. Amazing, amazing. I'm speechless. This village has left me speechless. It's not very often that happens. Right, we're going to hop in the car and we're going to drive out of Ludborough now and leave it behind, unfortunately, and move on to the next one. To finish with, we're taking the former main road out of the village back to the A18. One thing we've not yet spoken about here would be farms, and Ludborough has a few. As you leave the village, you pass Ludborough House Farm on the right before you reach the site of the Louth Potato Company, whose offices and main buildings are on the left. They supply the good old Lincolnshire spud to 100 customers within a 65-mile radius of Louth, and they've been doing that under the watchful eye of the Ridsdale family for some 40 years. They sell 4,000 tonnes of potatoes every year, and generally speaking, their main customers are fish and chip shops. There's every chance you might have eaten chips which originated here as potatoes. Lastly, it's back to the A18 as we make our way down Lincoln Gate towards the next one in this series. If Ludborough is a sign of more things to come in East Lindsey, well, this is going to be a cracking series. Stick around. Thanks for watching this video, folks. Don't forget to like this episode if you haven't already. It really makes a difference with YouTube. If you're new here, subscribe to the channel for more videos like this, and give us a share too if you've got friends who'd like it. You can find all the links to my social media accounts below, as well as my Buy Me a Coffee page where you can donate to the channel. Also, if you've enjoyed this episode, have a look at some more videos in this series. Until next time, I've been Andy, also known as the Village Idiot, and I'm out.